right, welcome to the Let It Fly show. I am Michael Severe, joined by Josh Jones from Creighton University, who've now won 2 in a row, and Omaha Central as well. We are live inside of the Let It Fly Sports Bar, Capital District, place to come, eat, watch games, have fun, hang out with your friends.
Yes.
Listen to some music.
Right.
All of that, everything.
Yes.
This is the podcast that is inside of the Let It Fly Sports Bar, brought to you by Bud Light. They make things
easy
to drink, easy to enjoy. No matter what you're doing, no matter what sport you're watching, you can have a good time with your Bud Light. We mentioned this. You look out here, you got college basketball on.
I know.
There was some football going on. I guess it was an old game. They had that on.
Yep.
You got all kind of sports going on. That's how it always is here at the Let It Fly Sports Bar. And you're going to have a good time if you come out and check it out. And all the specials. Doesn't matter. We tape this on a Wednesday. Mm-hmm. So what is Wednesday?
It's wings, $1 wing, or wait, it's $1.50?
Dollar Wing Wednesday.
Wing Wednesday.
Dollar Wing Wednesday.
What's crazy is I know it. I just started sidetracking myself.
It's you start thinking.
Yeah.
And you're like, wait a minute, that can't be right. It
it
can't be just $1.
You feel me? Yeah, it's $1.
It can't be just $1.
It is $1.
It is $1. And then also on Tuesdays, we got Taco Tuesday. And Thursday, you got Steak and Frites. You got something specials and special drinks as well. Happy hour, 3 to 6.
Yep.
Reverse happy hour, 10 p.m.
Yes.
to 1 a.m.
Yeah.
Who's working that late?
About 3.
Not me.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd be sleeping in the back. I'd be like, you saw Trump fall asleep in the meeting today?
I did, yeah.
That'd be me. I'd be like,
I did.
Like, what's
he
going
fell
on?
asleep like a preacher.
He did. Sometimes a man be tired.
That's facts.
And he nap.
I'm tired right now.
Joining us this week, a special guest, because today is signing day when we're taping this for football and sports around. We're talking about Nebraska signing day and also kind of look back on the regular season a little bit,
for sure.
how Nebraska did. Tim Verghese will join us. He is from Nebraska Rivals, and we'll talk to him about that. And he's mainly a recruiting guy, but we'll get into what happened in the season. But first, headlines.
All right.
Number one.
Nebraska
loses to Iowa. That means they dropped to 7-5.
Yep.
4-5 in conference. Defense played so poorly the last 2 weeks of the season that they fire the defensive coordinator, John Butler. He is out. And Nebraska lost 77-26 in the last 2 games combined. All the categories dropped. You look overall the way they played. Their 2 best wins of the season. Cincinnati, which was game 1.
Yep.
That team lost their last 4.
True.
And then it's probably Northwestern.
Right.
I mean, those are your 2 best wins. That's not great.
This is a true statement.
Yeah.
So I was at home watching the Iowa game.
Okay.
And in the midst of that ass kicking, I said, somebody getting their ass fired.
And somebody did.
I was shocked.
And there be more than that after that.
I was just like figuratively speaking.
Yeah.
But it was that bad.
It was that bad. It really was.
Yeah.
Right now, in the month of November, so far in the 3 years that Matt Rhule's been here, he is 2-10 in the month of November. He is 0-3 versus Iowa. He is 12-17 against the Big Ten.
Right.
And he is 0-6 versus top 25 teams.
You know what I don't like about that?
All of it? Every single word, every single syllable.
Is this a fair statement? Sometimes numbers don't lie. I mean, but sometimes I feel like numbers are deceiving.
Mark Twain, Samuel Clemens said a very long time ago. He says there are lies, there are damn lies, and there's statistics. Because a lot of times you can take statistics and move them all around to work better. These are not that case.
No.
You can't flip these around. You can't alter these.
I'm trying to be optimistic about it because I like Rhule.
I know.
But damn.
I know, it's
what's
rough.
What's going on, man?
It's rough, man. Especially when so where they were sitting.
Right.
When I'm going to go back a month. So November 1st, they're playing at home against USC.
Right.
They're leading the game.
Yeah.
They get an interception by Andrew Marshall. They're in scoring range. They're getting ready to go up by a couple of scores over USC at home.
And then they start seeing the color red in the zone.
Well, right then, you lose your quarterback. He breaks his leg.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
That play. Game ends, you lose to USC. Fast forward, end of the month.
Okay.
You have lost back-to-back games. You've given up 77 points. You fired your defensive coordinator. And the future of your quarterback is up in the air. The future of the program is up in the air.
You know,
all in 1 month.
But what I respect about the fire, I mean, nobody likes anybody getting fired.
Yeah,
so I ain't even gonna play about that.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm just saying that, like, what I respect about it is at least Coach Rhule is not like, a lot of coaches, well, every coach, I would say, will put it all on them.
Yeah.
But he's holding people accountable.
Yeah.
That's what I respect.
He's always been that way.
Yeah, the accountability is what I can appreciate, because there's two things I know that fans want to see in these type of adverse situations: fighting heart, and accountability. Mm-hmm. And right now we got one of them. The other one, we got to work it out.
We got to see how that goes.
Yeah.
Headline number 2, it is signing day. Nebraska signs one of its smallest classes, only 10 people. Now, it's understandable.
There's a rule.
They're young.
There's a lot going on with this, right?
You got 110 guys that are eventually going to be how big the roster is.
Okay.
So you're kind of paring that down. A lot of the guys are grandfathered in who are already on the roster. Then you're going to be bringing in, some portal guys.
Facts.
So 10 to 12 was as many as they were going to have. They lost Dayton Raiola, and they lost an offensive lineman they were trying to get out of Louisiana.
What's your take on that?
So, listen, Dayton Raiola had to make a choice of going out on his own.
Word.
So here's what the situation he was in. He's looking at. He's going, okay, if I come next year, I'm 2026. My brother still got another year, right? TJ Lateef, who's getting experience this year, is already going to be a year ahead of me.
Right.
And then in 2027, a higher rated quarterback than me is coming in. So he would be sandwiched between two quarterbacks who are both more mobile than him.
He won't get no reps.
Exactly.
Yeah, I feel.
And I think he made a great decision, and I think he's gonna do fine in his future because he's really developed as a quarterback.
And see, that's what, like, those type of things going on, why chaos and crisis or whatever you want to call it, like. He probably made the best decision for that, but it ain't got nothing to do with the wins and losses.
No, I don't think it has anything to do with his brother, anything to do with Nebraska. It is about him going out and making it on his own.
For sure.
And that's what he's doing. Nebraska signed 10. I meant that. Only one in-state player. Jace Reynolds, the linebacker from Elkhorn North, was the only in-state player.
Yeah,
we're gonna kind of go
Miller
over.
North is going somewhere else.
We're gonna.
No, Miller South.
This is Elkhorn North.
Well, I mean Miller South. They all.
Oh yeah, I got a bunch of those, but we're gonna go over this list pretty much with Tim Verghese, and we'll go over it with him, and he'll kind of go over the guys that he liked. But the guys that went other places. So these are the Omaha players that committed other places.
Let me hear it.
Jet Tamala, of course, going to Alabama. Yep. Darian Jones, who I really was hoping Nebraska would get. Got a chance to watch Darian Jones play with Omaha North. I like him a lot. He's going to Iowa. Caprice Keith.
Damn, that one hurt.
You know his dad. He originally was going to go to Iowa State, switched it up on signing day. Now he's going to Kansas State.
Yeah.
Barry Freeze, Elkhorn North, is going to Iowa State. Amarion Jackson, AJ, is going to Iowa State. Isaac Jensen, going to Missouri. I saw a sign on the interstate. Well, they're like, congratulations to him going to. That was pretty cool. That is, I guess his parents did it.
That's legendary.
Bryson Williams from Omaha West Side, he's going to Iowa State. And then a couple of Illinois kids. Lennon Von Segren, he's going to Illinois. And then Nelson Wheeler, who kind of came out of nowhere and then transferred to Millard South, he's also going to Illinois as well.
So with these Iowa State commits, do we got our positions filled to where they made the right move, or do we need them and they just went somewhere else?
So out of the Iowa State guys, I would say Amarion Jackson doesn't have the speed that Nebraska wants you to have at wide receiver, like the top end speed.
Gotcha.
And so I think that's why he kind of went on the back burner. Isaac Jensen is a guy they recruited, tight end.
Like,
they wanted him.
Straight up.
He chose to go to Missouri. I don't think they were on Bryson Williams as a safety. They really weren't on Barry Freeze very much. They really wanted Darian Jones.
Gotcha.
Out of Omaha North, who went to, they really wanted him. So out of all those guys, I would say they really pursued three of them.
2 or 3?
2 or 3 of them for the most part.
Okay.
And so the fact that they lost them, obviously, it looks bad, but I don't know if that was guys they really wanted to bring in. So
I respect it.
Headline number 3 before we get to talking about the season and Nebraska and the recruiting class. Grades 1, 2 in a row.
I know, man.
They won 2 in a row.
I started scratching because I thought you were going to say something funny.
No, they won 2 in a row.
Yeah.
They were in a situation where
Whoa.
Yeah.
The 2 they won.
Yep.
Is it like games where it's like you should have won?
Well, no. I mean, they could have easily lost to Oregon. And that was a weird game because your head coach was playing for the win that was going to make him the winningest coach in Creighton history.
Right.
Versus a coach who was the winningest coach.
coach.
That's a really weird situation that it timed out like that. But no, I mean,
Coach
Oregon
Altman feels some type of way about that shit.
I probably.
Coach Altman still talk about stuff from 1994.
That man don't forget, huh?
Yeah, so the fact that he lost to the coach to break his record on that day, he feels some way. He's a man. He probably said, congratulations.
Yeah. They laughed and they giggled about it.
He was pissed.
Yeah, he was mad. So they win that game,
Okay.
right? And then they go into a game with Nickel State.
Don't count.
Who had gone and played like a murderer's row of road games. Literally haven't been home yet.
I know.
Okay, haven't been home yet. They play Creighton. Early on, they're shooting the lights out.
Right.
It's a close game. I get in the car. I'm like, wait a minute, this is a 3-point game. What the heck's going on? And then Creighton kind of pulled away and got a lead.
Not kind of. They steamrolled their ass.
They did. They had three players, all have 14 points. Jasen Green, Josh Dix, and Owen Freeman all had 14 points in the game. And so Creighton gets a second win in a row. And that's what they got to do, is just piling up wins.
I like these new guys, man, but I'm a Jasen Green guy. Like, I feel like
I'm with you.
To be from Omaha, his size, have you seen him? You've seen him in person?
Oh, he was here in the studio.
Yeah, man. I just feel like when he do great, Creighton always win.
Yeah.
So he got to be consistent for me.
I'm with you.
For the conference, because like I like Trout. Trout is a shooter.
Yeah, he is.
I've accepted what he is. I've always wanted him to be more than what he's actually genetically gifted to do. Mm-hmm. But Jasen Green got to keep his game tight so Creighton can be right.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to how they develop. Now, the next game is Sunday.
I know.
In Lincoln.
Yes, sir.
It is Pearl Harbor Day. It is a day that lived in infamy. It's also Nebraska and Creighton getting it on once again. Yeah. This is a game now. The line I don't believe is out yet, but I'm assuming that Nebraska is going to be favored in the game.
They hoopers
based off of the way they played. I got to
give it to them.
The way they played so far this year, and some of the wins they've gotten, combined with the fact that Creighton had those losses early in that tournament, then it makes it look kind of difficult.
But check this out. Remember Creighton?
It's a 4 o'clock start. By the way.
I'm gonna name 3 guys for you.
Okay.
Baylor Shireman.
Yeah.
Trey Alexander.
Yeah.
Ryan Kalkbrenner. Nebraska still kicked their ass.
You know what?
So this might be the same thing.
You know what all those guys have in common?
What's that?
They're not coming through that dough, baby. They're not coming through that dough. They're not coming through the dough.
I can't wait for this game, man. It's gonna be fun.
It's gonna be fun. 4 o'clock on Sunday. Creighton traveling to Nebraska.
Yes.
When we come back, we will talk about the Nebraska regular season and signing day. Tim Verghese will join us from Nebraska Rivals here on the Let It Fly Show. All right, join us to talk some Husker football as we wrap up the regular season and, of course, signing day as well from Nebraska Rivals. Tim Verghese joining us here on Let It Fly Show. How you doing, man?
Hey, not bad. This is like I told you before the show, easiest signing day I've ever had.
I will never forget the day in 2005. This is old school Rivals, Huskers Illustrated, and everybody was waiting to find out about one of the commits, and the whole site just crashed.
Man.
Then you flipped over to the Omaha World Herald, and the site crashed.
Why was this?
This is back before anybody really knew the power of really recruiting. It was their second year with Bill Callahan. We didn't know.
Okay.
And they found out pretty quickly that you got to be ready.
Yeah.
A lot of servers.
Yeah.
And back then we didn't know about that. So why? So give us the reason why, because I know fans are nervous when they hear only 10 commits, but talk to us about numbers and where this is going.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the roster, this was always going to be a small class. Yeah. They just didn't have a whole lot of space. And as the season progressed, it really felt like Nebraska, looking at the roster, looking at what the team needs, it just made more sense to save roster spots and also financial resources for the transfer portal. So that's where they're at. But, I mean, I think there was some stuff that happened here at the end of the cycle they didn't expect. Dayton Raiola decommitting. So you lose your quarterback. They always want to bring in – you always want to bring in a quarterback every cycle. And they tried to check in on guys late, but, 2 weeks before signing day, most everything is signed, sealed, and delivered for, especially at the quarterback position. So there wasn't a whole lot of opportunity there for Nebraska. And then losing Leon Noel Jr., the offensive lineman out of Edna Carr. Yeah. Powerhouse program. I think that was a guy that they would have loved to bring in just as a high-floor prospect with a real developmental ceiling. A guy that, has all the athleticism and a lot of the tools you're looking for at the tackle position. Even though he's undersized, he's 6'4", he has that athleticism to potentially stick a tackle. And, there's very few guys that can do that at that size. So he's a guy, Mississippi State, is on the benefiting end there. Nebraska tried, checked in on a couple of JUCO offensive linemen, a couple of late offensive linemen to potentially add, but they have 3 committed. They felt good about that. And so now they're, for the most part, pivoting to the transfer portal. I mean, that's where the needs are. You look around in the high school ranks. I mean, the one position I know people are nervous about them not addressing is D-line, linebacker. With D-line, I mean, I don't have the exact numbers, but come spring, I believe it was over 50 to 60% of the blue chip D linemen were already committed. By mid-June, before official visit season was even really over, 90% were committed. Terry Braden joined the staff in February. A lot of the guys on Nebraska's board moved to Florida State's board, essentially, with Terrence Knighton. So Nebraska had to reset that D-line board a couple times across the course of the cycle. They got it late, essentially, by the time Terry Braden joined the staff. They were just moving late, and they tried. They really did, but it was one of those things where you look at what was out there, you look at what this roster needs. Again, I just felt the conversation kept, I think, coming back to looking ahead to what Nebraska needs in 26. It's a guy that has experience at the Power 4 level or has experience in playing college football. There are high school defensive linemen capable of contributing. We saw that with Cade Petchuk this year. I think Malcolm Simpson, Tyson Terry, would have been capable of doing it this year as well. All those guys, even with Cade, we saw that in a rotational capacity. There are Richard Anderson, who's headed to LSU this year, 350 pounds. That guy's ready to play, day one. There's not that many of those guys, just in the high school ranks. But you can find a couple of those guys, and if you're smart, if you are you move with a sense of urgency in the transfer portal, you can get those guys out of the transfer portal, plug them into your roster, and they come developed essentially.
Right. So
Nebraska went shopping, by the way. Sometimes you go shopping at Costco. This year, Nebraska went shopping at Trader Joe's. Only need a couple things.
You shop at Trader Joe's?
Well, if I need a couple things. My mom really loves these croissants they have. So we go there occasionally.
I'm Aldi's unless I really, really want to do my thing.
Aldi's is save you some money. I don't get any gas points for Aldi's. That kind of disappoints me a little bit.
I was about to say, so I try to be a Kool-Aid drinker, when it comes to the Huskers. Born and raised in Nebraska, went through just my point of view as I'm leading to my question. Went through, the glory days of the 90s. In the 2000s, we had some success. We roller coastered up and down. Probably 2015 was the year we should have did our thing. Wasn't as good and all that type of stuff. I say all of that listening to you to say this. I'm still drinking the Kool-Aid, but should fans panic, decommits, people don't want to come. It's the 3rd year.
You finish the season losing 2 games badly.
Yeah, where if you're
fired defensive coordinator.
Your perspective, where is the program at?
Where's the program at out of year 3? I don't think it's I think if you ask anybody around there, it's not where they want it to be. I think where the ideas of what they thought year 3 was going to be compared to what it ended up being, especially these past 2 weeks. I think the tough part about assessing this year compared to last season, I feel like last year you could segment the year. You had
that's true.
You had the front part of the year, and then I think literally up to, and a lot of it rotates around centers around Dylan, but pretty much pre-overtime Illinois or that kind of that game going to overtime.
Right.
That little drop off, that valley that team had, and then Dana Holgorsen takes over as offensive coordinator. You saw some promise there. This year, there's a lot of promise across the year. There's things where you saw them finish games across 4 quarters. You saw them do things they hadn't done in years past. You saw them establish something of an offensive identity at times. But it wasn't consistent across the year. You had the Minnesota game in there, and then you had the way they ended that year where, look, that Penn State game played out the way I kind of expected that game to go preseason.
Yeah.
No, and that week,
even the week leading up to the way they had played those 2 weeks. The Iowa game is the one that I have a little more trouble coming to terms with because of what we had seen from Iowa in the weeks leading up to that game. How these 2 teams matched up and what we essentially saw from Nebraska. And I think what ultimately led to John Butler's dismissal. And so that's where, on one side of things, you have to respect. I think Matt Rhule read the moment exceptionally well, and the staff, the program, read the moment of, hey, this is unacceptable, and like John Butler there needs to be a reset here in what we do defensively. But that does, I think I can say that while also saying they were still in the general top 25 total defense, like over the course of the year.
Don't ever bring total defense in this room. Ever.
Yeah.
The greatest line that Bo Pelini ever had was, ma'am, it's not about yards, it's about points.
Right.
Don't ever bring total defense in here.
You're right. And that's what it
Yeah.
comes down to. 77 points over the last 2 weeks against those two teams. That's unacceptable. He has to go. But I think what I am trying to come to terms with coming out of the year is I do think we just had really bright moments from the secondary. I do think the secondary, there were like really high moments. And are they the number 2 pass defense or top 5 pass defense in the country? Probably not. I mean, the stats aren't fair, in that sense. But they played really well and so that's the tough part. Where like I think Addison Williams did a good job.
Yeah.
I think John Butler in coordinating and limiting what teams could do over the top of Nebraska's defense.
I just had an intrusive thought. Raiola's hurt, but he's out. He's gone. He's leaving.
That's what everybody thinks.
If my family is not coming, I'm out. Like
I don't. I mean, that's one reason maybe, but
I mean, that's just the biggest flag to me.
Sure,
I'm worried now. As you're talking, you got me intrusively thinking.
Everybody thinks that he's probably gone.
He's gone, bro.
But I can tell you that he talked to. I know that he talked to Coach Rhule yesterday, and I know they had a conversation about it, and I know he has said to people that he wants to come back.
Yeah,
that doesn't mean he's coming back.
Yeah, and this is the thing that fans are going to have. It's going to be a back and forth thing, essentially until until the portal opens.
We've had in a
until
decade.
January 2nd. Yeah,
there hasn't been a quarterback better than him in a decade.
I would take right now today. I would take Taylor Martinez over him. Now that's beyond a decade.
You mean on like a 4
because that's 2013, 20, and he left. And I would probably take Adrian Martinez with this team over him in a heartbeat.
I respect that.
When did you get here originally, Tim?
I covered the program, or I was a freshman here at 2018. Right. So Adrian Martinez freshman.
So you
year.
saw Adrian play. If Adrian, the best talent Adrian had was in 2018. You agree? Stanley Morgan was there. Yep. They had a run game. The offensive line was pretty good.
Okay.
And for the most part, that was a really good team. Adrian getting hurt in the Colorado game wasn't great. That's a pretty good team. Then the talent dropped off,
right? Especially
at skill places, especially when Maurice Washington left.
Yep.
You give him the talent they have now? Come on, man.
Man, I'm just saying, like,
come on, man. We'll get Tim's.
He's more. I just think
you were in college.
I think he's more solid.
Yeah. What do you think?
So. I covered Dylan as a prospect from like a young, like I the
guy got gang, bro.
I bumped into him at Burles, like, it's soft, like, so I've been around the prospect. I know when you overall look at the body of work from high school to this point, there's a lot of really good in there and really good flashes. What you've seen over the last 2 years, I think, and it goes back to that Illinois game. I think there were things he was doing those first 4 games of his freshman year in terms of processing that we have not seen since then. And he's been healthy since then. He's got a coordinator since then. He's got better talent since then. That is an area that and that's something that can improve. He can get back to that player. I actually think him getting hurt quietly can be a blessing in disguise if he treats this the right way. Stepping away from the game, taking it from a bird's eye view, being able to just like watch the game and like call things out over the last 2 weeks of TJ, make that throw, and then think back in his head of, in that moment, do I make that throw? And then take self-scout on his game. I think we've seen highs and lows of him over the last 2 years. I don't think what we've seen from Dylan to this point over the course of an entire game has lived up to the hype of or the expectations.
Give me.
It's in the heart. He out.
You in the.
See, but that's the thing. I don't believe that either.
And it's not. He's not.
Because that's the thing too. I think Dylan, in his heart of hearts, wants to be here. And when he's on the field, he is fighting tooth and nail for this program. He is, again, by all accounts, the hardest worker in that building. It's been that way the entire offseason. It was through that way through the entire first half of the season. It was through that way the year, pretty much until he got hurt. And then he had to obviously step away from the team. But like by all accounts, that dude is one of, if not the hardest worker in the building. The guys rally around him. When you come in with the hype, and again, we can talk about like the NIL and all that comes with it.
Yep.
You can find yourself detached from the locker room. That, besides last year when there was that bit of flirting with the, and this year again
Right.
when that's not been looming over him, the guys around the program, as far as I know, they rally around him. They love him. They know where he's coming from, and they sense a good player. They sense a good player with a good heart that cares a lot about the results on the field.
Tim Verghese joining us, Nebraska Rivals. When's the last time you remember him making a throw down the field that was accurate?
That's
good
fair.
question.
That's
He
fair.
is one of the worst Power 4 quarterbacks in passes of 20 plus.
And that is something that
And what was one of the biggest reasons why he was a 5-star?
was that.
Was his deep ball, right?
Yes, his deep ball accuracy in high school.
Yes.
Like that was something I noted, and I talked a lot of at Rivals before he officially took the field of like, hey, this is the first time in a while Nebraska has a guy that could hit these deep balls consistently. We've not seen that yet from him here, and that is something that you look at the skill talent, you look at what they've acquired on offense. Him being able to hit those consistently can change what this offense can do, and would obviously. I mean, that's that's just stating the obvious, but like. They've built this offense to eventually be this thing where they can they pair out the run with these explosive over the tops.
They want to have a pro style,
but these explosive over the tops aren't there.
Yeah. They lost the Minnesota game, right? People talk about the Minnesota game and everything you want to talk about, game plan and all that. They lost that game because of 2 throws that Dylan couldn't make. He had Dane Key running wide open. He missed the throw. Then he had that end zone fade that he couldn't make that the Minnesota quarterback came back and made perfectly. Those 2 throws. You think if Nebraska scores 6, 7, 13, 20 points, they lose that game?
No.
That's 20 points.
Yeah,
so
you're right.
they had 6,
You're
right?
right.
Those are 2 touchdowns. That makes it 20. That game's over.
And there are moments like that across these last 2 seasons where I think USC last year, I believe it was USC last year. There was a couple of those where, but it's been a couple of those over the year. And again, that's not all to say.
He's got
my
potential.
personal belief in terms of as a evaluator, in terms of like high school to college and projecting and all that. If you've seen them do it, they can do it again.
There you go.
And the thing with Dylan specifically was you watch his college career, high school career. It was a thing of there were steps along the way, and then senior year at Buford, around the best talent he'd ever had at a powerhouse program, he was just in a zone, and he was automatic at every level. The flow of the game was incredible. He can still get to that point. And again, maybe it's this offseason and stepping away from the game. Maybe that's what he needs. But at this point, it's not as much of a sure thing as Nebraska anticipated like 2 years ago.
I respect it.
So I agree. I understand what you're saying. If you've seen it done, you probably can do it. I will tell you though, the players that I've seen not be able to do that almost always have been the highest star quarterbacks. Like I grew up a Penn State fan, right? I will tell you that Drew Aller made some plays over his career, made some nice throws, but in general, not what he was built.
I mean, we can say him not developing the way he was supposed to cost James Franklin his job.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Like Drew Aller individually not developing the way he was supposed to.
He makes that throw against Oregon in overtime where it's supposed to be. It's probably a touchdown down the sideline. Instead of he kind of just touched it a little bit. It gets picked. Game's over. They lose. And then they had planned their entire offseason on beating Oregon. You lose that, and you got nothing.
Right.
You know, unlike Nebraska in 07, they lost the game to USC. Then they almost lost to Ball State.
I know.
Nebraska avoided it. Penn State did not avoid it. They ended up losing the game that they shouldn't lose to UCLA. But I've noticed sometimes when you have high-star quarterbacks and they come in, sometimes they can never get back to what they were in high school.
A lot of that so much is I feel like it's mental. It's amazing because you see it again across the sport, and it's a variety of things. For some guys, it's they lose trust in the system around them or the ecosystem around them. For some guys, it's they again maybe they lose the heart. The heart's not in it necessarily. For other guys, it's okay. They realize pretty quick they're not what they meant to be. They have all these expectations. It crumbles them mentally. They try to do too much. I think oftentimes it comes back to that last part of trying to do too much and trying to be the guy. I think there's moments where you watch on film, it's Dylan trying to be
Patrick Mahomes.
Not even that. It's just
I'm playing, bro.
But not even that. It's literally just trying to be the guy, like trying to take over the game in that moment, and trying to be the guy when, play within the system, play within the offense, like. Dana Holgorsen knows what he's doing. You have a reliable run game. You have, pass catchers you can trust to make plays in space.
Yeah.
Like you have all of it. You have a tight end you can trust. So there's stuff like that. And that's not just a Dillon thing. I think Rhule, that's part of that across his course of his career is I think he has felt, especially these last 2 years, he has had to make the big boy throw and say, okay, well, there's all these questions about when's Drew going to do it? When's Drew going to become the NFL prospect and do all of that? And I think part of that is mental for him too. So, and that we've seen that over the years. I think, we talked about Adrian Martinez. I think for him, DJU is another example of this.
Of guys, Oregon State.
Of guys where, even before that, I think at Clemson, when everything around you collapses, sometimes you just never recover. I think with Adrian, he lost trust in the O-line. He kept getting hurt. He lost, again, the weapons, they just weren't there. Right. He lost trust in all of that. I don't think he ever, and credit to him, got to Kansas State, fresh start, and he's making a name. He's bouncing around
trying to play in the league,
Yeah, like he's hanging around. No, guys don't do that. You know what I mean?
That's true.
But with DJU, it was one of those things where I think he never recovered from everything completely breaking down at Clemson to the point that it broke down his fundamentals and he never picked those back up and everything. And, when you're starting from ground zero and you're having to rebuild everything from scratch and you're in the system and you're still the 5-star transfer quarterback and you have all these things, it just piled up all on top of each other. He ended up where he is now, which
he kind of found himself at Oregon State, I think, because the perfect place was Corvallis. Was a little town where there wasn't a lot of expectations from him. You got this small but intense fan base in that town, and I think he could just be himself.
And I think that system too. I
think the system worked great for him. Yeah, but then of course he leaves there, and then it falls apart again. Tim Verghese joining us here from Nebraska Rivals. You made a quick comment there, and you said that Dana knows what he's doing. Dana Holgorsen knows what he's doing. Do you still feel as comfortable about Dana in those last 4 games that you saw last year, now that you've had an entire season of watching that offense and what he does calling that offense?
I think it's a bigger work in progress than I thought, just in terms of, but I think it's a fluid, and I think it's part of the reason why I don't believe he's moving on. I think he's sticking around, is I think it's something where, you had those 4 games last year. He got an idea of how to build out a playbook, and you saw some good, some bad this year. Overall, I think the biggest thing was, I think scripting a game and managing the flow of a game in a Big Ten was something that he struggled with at times. Sure. But I thought there were moments where he figured out, hey, you can lean on the run game. Having Emmett Johnson helps, and Emmett being a Superman and being able to take over some of those games helps.
After Minnesota.
Right. And so that's the thing. So, if Emmett moves on, does he have that same trust in the running back room with portal additions? Or if someone in the room takes a big step, does he have that knowing 21's not back there? That's something that he's going to have to evolve and see. Again, I think all of this is an evolving situation of, I think that's part of this calculus and part of, again, these ongoing conversations with Nebraska's having themselves within the office over these next few weeks is the quarterback position. With Dylan Raiola versus, a TJ Latif, or you go out in the transfer portal and see what's out there, you can find someone that maybe fits what Dana wants to do. Add more of that QB run element to this. Open up, lean on more RPOs, more run games, more QB run. Make the quarterback more of a threat in the offense. You've seen what that opens up. You know what that can do. I think there's a lot there where, is it necessarily fair to grade Dana on his essentially first full year in the Big Ten with a quarterback that is somewhat unlike others he's had in years prior?
Yeah, I feel you.
Or is it on Dana to match the personnel, match the moment, and across his years of experience, figure out how to make all of that work? Because he had weapons at his disposal. He had a good back.
I think it's the first one because to me, it's all about the posture of the quarterback. You talk about sometimes people get in predicaments and they psychologically shut down or those type of things. I just kind of felt like before he got hurt and with him not performing to where he probably want to be and the standards of the university's offense, he has a different type of, I'm not saying, I don't think he's putting either he's not playing as well or he's not putting his best foot forward with his effort. And then it does reflect the coach. But if you get somebody else who's potentially all in, which I think he might be out, it might change. So I can't blame the coach yet.
If you look at how Holgorsen was against the Power Four through the first 6 games, right? And you look where he was, finishing drive rate and points per drive.
Yep.
They had successful drives. They had scored 141 points. You look at the second half, and now 3 of them, I know, you got a freshman quarterback in there, one of which you're playing against the worst defense in the Big Ten, but still, you saw kind of a regression. Here's the thing. It was so bad under Satterfield that even Holgorsen's regression looks better than it was, especially in terms of the numbers. But my concern is that the finishing drive rate under Satterfield, which was bad, but then under Holgorsen, it was kind of the same. They still, for some reason, got into the red zone, the low red zone, and failed to score enough touchdowns.
Man.
That's across 2 different coordinators who are very different and different experiences. How much is that not having the players to get it done, or is that the play callers?
Man.
Yeah, I mean, but that's something where, again, if it's across two at this point, It's not a players thing, but I do think it's an overall philosophy and overall figure. I mean, that's something that I think this offseason you go out and figure, like you spend a week plus figuring out, hey, we're just going to focus on fixing the low red zone. Because that's something that has plagued this team at this point across multiple years, and again, legitimately cost them games at this point.
Oh, yeah, and what's crazy about it is one of the craziest stats, and I know you know this, but Nebraska, across the country, one of the best teams at stopping teams from getting in the red zone.
Oh, my God.
But, when they get in the red zone, they're the worst. They're the worst in terms of allowing touchdowns, which is just mentally doesn't
crazy.
make a lot of sense.
That's crazy.
Right.
If you're so good from the 20 to the 20, why does all of a sudden it get so bad once they get inside the 20? Yeah. The whole sport of football, in my opinion,
It comes down to that.
comes down to scoring touchdowns, scoring field goals, or not getting a score at all.
At the end of the day.
Period.
For sure.
And that scares me a little bit with Holgorsen and the way he runs the system. And does he need to have a better running quarterback in that red zone to be able to get some of those scores?
Right.
What do you think they do for a defensive coordinator? What direction would you like to see them go? Where would you like to see? Do you think Phil Snow will still be a part of it? What do you think happens?
Yeah, I think Snow's going to be part of this staff in some capacity. I think regardless moving forward, I think he's just a guy Rhule has trusted over the years. He's versatile enough, and he doesn't have on-field responsibilities. But I mean, that's a mind you want to have around. Like, I mean, we've seen him in practices just around like the young DBs. Personally, like, again, you just prefer that guy's around with the young DBs than not around the program.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I think Snow's around in some capacity. That said, I do think. I thought Rhule's comments today were interesting of 11-1, how that specifically relates to a certain defense coordinator in Toledo, who I'm a big fan of.
Right.
Noted him yesterday, but I think Justin Wilcox, another one that's available, that's out there, that has always played disciplined football.
Man's a defensive genius.
Defensive football,
He's a defensive genius.
And he has, I think the one thing there would be he hasn't done it in the Big Ten since, that year in Madison.
Yeah.
People kind of gave John Butler some shit for, the last time he was coordinating was like 2013. 2015 is not that much, it's a couple years later. So where's he at now? Is he capable of adjusting to the Big Ten? Personally, I trust Justin Wilcox. I think the world of that guy as a defensive mind. So that's a guy that, I think I've got an eye on. I'm really curious if they go established Power 4 coordinator, established just a guy that has defensive coordinator experience background, or they try and call someone up that fits the mentality of what they want. In terms of like a D-line coach, a linebackers coach, a guy that's been sticking around that there. I don't think you can afford to do that. I think you kind of have to go get an established guy. And also you're Nebraska. You have resources, you have things. You
got to money whip somebody.
Yeah, like that's the thing. You have to be able to do that. I mean, that said, like, dude from Toledo, I don't know why I'm blanking on his name just off the top of my head.
Good.
But,
go ahead.
They were number 2 in stop drives.
Word.
And he's been good across multiple years. They've produced NFL talent across multiple positions. Especially in the secondary. I think he would be a good mind meld with Addison Williams, too. And I think that's part of all of this, too. I think Rhule noted on that, too.
He wants him to stay.
Addison wants Addison to stay. He made it seem Addison Williams to stay, but Nebraska's gonna have to fight to keep Addison Williams around. Like that's going to be something where, Vince Kurz. Watch that dude coach defense over the last 2 years, man. Like, especially you talk about like the third and shorts, fourth and
stop plays, yeah.
Those plays, he has he gets those guys fired up. He gets those guys to blow off the ball, and again, he's at He's not pulling in like
I know.
he's had NFL D linemen. He's produced NFL D linemen.
Yeah. But it's where
he's not
he's at,
rating
though.
4 or 5 stars or anything. But he's getting those guys to get off the line of scrimmage, get off blocks, fit the run. They do that, all of that stuff at a high level. That's a guy that I think if you are to reach outside of the Power 4 and go grab somebody, that's a guy that if you go and that's a home run hire, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think with all that's being said right now, and even some of the intrusive thoughts I had about the quarterback, I'm optimistic because I believe in Matt Rhule. I think Matt Rhule was a perfect hire as a head coach. I think that he is not afraid to make the big decisions, and he's just trying to find the right guys. So I don't believe we're going backwards. I feel like Nebraska has always got to this point where they do well and then they take some steps backwards for some reason. But I think this is a persistent forward-moving thing with Coach Rhule as a head coach.
I would not be shocked, and you tell me if you feel this way, Tim, if they take a step back next year.
A bit of a step back?
Because of the schedule.
Yeah.
Because the uncertainty at quarterback.
And exactly. I'm with you on that.
I mean, you could see maybe that they
I'm
go a
with you.
little back.
Right. I think you look at the roster as it
I'm with you on
currently
that.
stands and the schedule ahead, and I think it's very fair to feel that way. I think I would wait and see how the portal season ends, just because I do think they do plan on making moves.
They're going to be a player.
Or
But it's
they aim to be a player.
But it's still
in the portal.
persistently moving forward.
Good player, right? Yeah.
And they've been more proactive this year than they have last year. Like I do think they are going to attack this, with an understanding of what they need and hit. But yeah, again, it's about getting the right guys in there,
Sure.
and taking steps forward. But yeah, I think it's very fair to think, look at the schedule, what they have. I mean, you're going to Eugene, You're
going to get 6 teams.
Yeah.
You're legitimately going to be underdogs. I don't remember the last time Nebraska preseason, even in the bad times, were underdogs in 6 games. So this doesn't happen a lot.
Right.
That is crazy, bro.
So it's certainly a
So
possibility.
yeah, you have to judge this relative to again the schedule, because again I think, but at the same time, I think behind the scenes what has been done by Matt Rhule in this program to get them where they're at.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Like, and you have, like you said, but I think it is. I think again, I understand fan frustration, but you got to look at what was inherited,
right,
versus what I think what the perception of this overall job can be from fans that have seen this
4 years ago.
Yeah, fans have seen this. No, but the thing is, fans have seen this year in and year out for years at this point. I grew up following this program.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Even though I didn't come here until 2018.
Right.
I grew up following this program. I was at the Big 12 championship 2009.
Oh, dang, that's tight. Okay.
That was a birthday present for me. Was there. So I remember, but so I've been around this program. I've seen where it's been, but when you and I know for some people, hey, 2009, being the Big 12 champion, all this stuff doesn't feel that long ago. There's kids getting recruited and stuff that don't remember that whatsoever.
No, they don't
remember. They don't remember any, and it's not just that. It's just there's a perception issue that this program has had to fix, and there's also a perception between what people really close to the program see and what they believe this program can be versus what it actually is when you zoom out, and all of the work that Matt Rhule has done to get the resources to, now they can go to the portal and be a spender. Now they have, kind of this established culture where they can pick and choose who they bring in to add into that culture. They have these things that they didn't have before. I mean, the talent level just across the board has improved from where it was across the roster.
I agree.
And now, is that enough to take it over the top? You got to walk before you run. You know what I mean? I do think what we saw this year does elongate the timeline for me for when this team hits, conference championship or I thought there was an opportunity this year to potentially take that step forward, build enough momentum where you could potentially take another step forward towards 26. Yeah. I think 26 at this point, your goal should be 7 to 8 wins with that schedule and what you have currently on the roster.
What would you consider the goals now? What were your goals and expectations this season?
For this season?
Right.
My goals were 8 to 9 wins.
Okay. I picked 9.
Yeah. And you would have liked to see that. I think it was attainable. You look at how
I'm losing to Minnesota, USC, and Penn State. That's legitimate. Yeah. You can beat Michigan at home, and you should be able to beat Iowa at home.
Right.
The worst part about this season was the games they lost that were the biggest games, they lost them in their house.
Facts. Yeah.
Those are the ones you got to win.
Think about it like that.
That means you're going to turn around and have to go someplace else and try to beat those teams.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you can't beat them in your house, in this situation, and you get weather and you get everything that's on your side, you lead in games and you still lose them, that's heartbreaking.
Yeah. I know, man.
It's tough. But again, a lot of lessons learned, I think, of where this program, going up against Michigan, seeing what Michigan is in their trenches, going up against USC's operation in the depth and the amount of skill talent they have.
Yeah.
And again, what they've been able to do in terms of getting that roster ready for the Big Ten in a similar turnaround. I think a lot of lessons to learn from that. I think, again, if you want to be encouraged generally, last portal cycle, they didn't have Pat Stewart. This portal cycle, they do.
The GM.
The GM. Right. And I listened to Pat Stewart today, just assessing this in terms of I'm starting to prepare for what the portal is going to look like and getting, because for us, it's an information chase as well, of a lot of back channeling, figuring out stuff. And, as far as we've been able to gather, it's early. We're going to still figure out over this next month who's actually going to be entering, who's not. And we still won't figure it out until Jan 2nd when it actually opens. But Nebraska has a better plan in place this time around, and I think they understand what needs to be done in terms of improving the roster. I think last year you look at the process, you look at, they needed depth, and, they may not have the money at the high end, but you can find some of these value adds like a Jalen George, like a Gabe Moore. Process of,
that was your Aldi's shopping right there.
Trying to find your value, and trying to address that position. Marquise Watson-Trent, you needed someone with a production at a high level, elite production, and he came in with production,
right?
But then you got him on the field and it was like, oh well, this guy, when
limited.
You're limited, and but I will also say, if I was watching Nebraska's film last year and I said, and I needed to replace John Bullock, and I said, who could I plant in here? If I'm watching that film and I'm seeing what Nash and Ty are doing, I'm like, oh yeah, Marquise Watson-Trent can come in here and do that just fine. If Nash and Ty were in front of Marquise Watson-Trent, he has a much better year.
Sure.
Gotcha.
But he had to be able to get off blocks. He had to be able to do a lot of different things that he wasn't able to do because of what he was getting from his front. So there's a lot I think Nebraska has to evaluate. And that, again, over this next month, how do you want to play defensively? What do you want to look like? I thought there were opportunities this offseason with what was coming back and what they ended up losing in the portal to potentially reassess how they play front seven defense.
Yep.
But it's also, again, it's part of the do you abandon your process for a temporary result? And I think that goes, but
it has to be based off of the players you have feed into the process.
Certainly.
So then you have to have a system that fits to those players so they can develop in their process.
Certainly. And so that's why,
I mean, do you think they had a system that fit what they have?
Not in the front.
Like where if
the
you
quarterback position they did.
If you were going to pick, so we're talking about defense right now, in terms of defense.
Well, I know. I'm just thinking overall.
If you look at Cam Leonard, and I don't even know if that's quarterback they did because they needed a quarterback who was actually mobile at times. They didn't have it. It frustrates the hell out of people. Cam Leonard, what position do you think he should play in a defense?
I think that guy's. Oh man, that one's tough. Like he's one where. I can see him getting schemed out of this defense weirdly.
Well, definitely. Well, isn't he a 5?
I think so.
So if you're playing a 4-man front, and at his weight and his height, he could be the weak side defensive end easily. But if you're telling me he's got to be in a 3-man front, he's got to be a 4-eye? No way.
Right.
There's no way he can do that.
Wow.
And so he's out of his spot, right?
Yeah.
So then you take a guy like, say, Van Poppel, who I think can be very good and regress a little bit in this season. Where you have him playing, he certainly can't play nose, right? Even as a shade, he can't play that well. So he's almost a 3 technique, like Nebraska used to have.
Right.
Well, they don't play that anymore. Right. So you have all these players.
I think even Keon,
more intrusive thoughts.
Will as a wide, as a 7 or a 9, you know what I mean, off of there.
Oh, yeah,
and you build, you put Keona on the other side. I think Keona can kind of shade in and be like a 1 or even a no. You know what I mean? And I think, they had personnel to run it for me in front if they wanted to, if they wanted. But it's one of those things where, again, I think all of that went into the decision to fire John Butler and then bring in a guy that looks at what the personnel is. I think the comments from Rhule were important. Again, it's not about it's about what you have. You can't blame the players and I felt that, like, watching games this year where I was coming out of it, talking to our guys, people on our board, talking to Steve and Zach, on our coworkers, of just how I felt about the way the defense played. I was like, I think John generally is scheming up things well in terms of, like, hey, they're fitting the run well, but guys are in position to make a play and don't make the play. I think Michigan was one of those where, like,
three plays in a row. We talked about that.
3 plays in a row.
Guys in position to make the play, but don't make the play.
Right.
But at a certain point, it's like you have to adjust for that. You have to adjust around that. The guys are not making plays.
Yeah.
And you can't keep letting that happen.
Right.
And you just have to find answers. And I don't think there were enough answers found. And I think obviously by the end of it, it felt like they were just kind of throwing stuff at the wall to try and answer these questions.
Right.
And you saw the bottom fall out a little.
So is this not a fluke? I seen something about Ndamukong Suh coming back.
No, he's not. That was just people messing around.
Exactly.
People just messing around.
I thought I figured that. So I say that to say, like, is there anybody out there on the defensive front that is, like, notable from, like, a Suh camaraderie of respect?
You mean like a former Nebraska guy?
Somebody who, like, we looking for all these people. What about the people who used to play? Like, is there anybody that can help this out? I'm frustrated, man.
They have all been at any time or another around the pro. Like, Jason Peter came back and was a volunteer assistant, and Jay Foreman's been a volunteer assistant, and Barrett Rhule was assistant, and then before. So guys have tried to come back. You can't worry about where the person coached before, or where they're from.
I respect
just
that.
Bring somebody in here who can coach.
The more, you two know way more than I know, but from me just watching and hearing you talk, I have more intrusive thoughts that this is actually deeper rooted issue than what it actually seems. But you got a head coach who's in control, but you got to make a lot of adjustments. Or is it you just don't have the personnel and the players that can just do what the coaches need them to do? Which one is it? Or is it both?
I think when you look at what the calculus I think the staff made through the first year in the Big Ten, and then some of the adjustments and back and forth when bringing John Butler in as DB's coach.
Okay.
Some of the back and forth you saw with Butler and White on how they wanted to play defensively, and what you saw them double down on this year in terms of, hey, they wanted to limit explosives over the top.
Right.
I think defensively, their goal is to play defense the way it's needed to win games in December and January. Mm-hmm. But you got to get there. And to get there, you got to stop the run, and to play, and you got to be able, and again.
And he's 2-10 in November.
Right, and you got to win in November. You got to win in late game situations. You got to get to that point, and so again, the overall process of this defense needs to look this way long term for this reason is the right process, and I think they have the back end figured out of what they want the secondary and what they want coverage to look like. Now it is and they figured that out, and that's across multiple staffs. I think Rhule himself and the staff in general have figured that out. Now it is up front. How do you fit the run while playing out of 5-man coverages and potentially 6-man coverages, and the way you need to play?
You do it like Indiana does it,
right?
I mean, Indiana does it.
And that's the thing. You have to. So you have to. That's the thing. That's what they have to adjust and learn. And again, watch how other teams like Indiana are doing it. I think there's but. You great, like for me personally, just in assessing coaching staffs and everything. Like I thought, even with Scott Frost, there were moments early on, not late, but there were moments of right process from that staff. But for a variety of reasons, disastrous results.
Right.
Here overall, I felt across the program generally there has been right process in how they get to certain decisions, even if the outcomes necessarily aren't there. Now, that goes for off the field in terms of overall roster building.
Right.
I do think there are very real questions about Rhule as a game manager and something that he's still evolving and developing as. And that's, again, just a question but everyone is developed. Like, we spend so much time talking about player development and what these guys can be in 3-4 years.
True.
Coaches are developing. Coaches are always learning. Eric Shenander, what he's done, post Nebraska, it's not who Eric Shenander was, at Nebraska. There have been guys that came to Nebraska as young coaches that I remember as a kid, those guys, took some blame, took some things. I remember this at Texas A&M when I was covering Texas A&M. The linebackers coach there took a lot of flack for some recruiting misses. He missed on Harold Perkins one cycle, and then the next cycle it was Anthony Hill. And it was like, well, I covered both these recruitments. This guy did the best job building the relationship in both these recruitments. He just got outbagged. There's nothing you can do about that. Schematically, they were like, oh, the linebackers. It was like, well, look what's in his room, and then look what he brought into the room. All the guys in that room, he brought in. Torian York, Damian Sanford. He's done, but now he's a defensive coordinator elsewhere. He's perfectly fine. He's great. He's doing a good job. He's evolved as a coach. But I think oftentimes we forget these are developing coaches too. Sure. But it's on them to develop. It's very much on them to develop. Like for Matt Rhule, it's like, hey, the game management issue, the record against top 25 teams, the November, like the struggles in November, that was stuff he came in with. We've not really seen improvement from that through 3 years. Will we see improvement in that from the future? I think is the big question, and something that, as a staff, they have to attack and figure out how to improve upon this offseason.
Like when they figured out a little bit about close losses, right?
Right.
They turned it around. They also figured out how late drive situations, they figured it out, but they're still getting 3 blowouts. So that was
so you're seeing development.
They're seeing development. Let me ask you about this class before we let you go.
Yep.
Who's your favorite?
Oh man, it's hard not to say Danny Yoda, man. Like I was.
And he's the highest rated.
Yes, highest rated, but it wasn't always that way. When Nebraska offered, and especially when Nebraska identified him, and Addison Williams specifically identified him back at UCF, this was a guy that had transferred from Farrell, Pennsylvania, with a lot of belief in what he could do. But not a lot to show for it to that point.
Right.
He hit the 7-on-7 circuit. There was some promise there, but at the time as a junior, he was really light. I think he was playing right around 150, 160, or 160. So it was really light. It was like, how is he going to hold up, once he puts the weight on?
Yeah.
Had a really good junior year, but again, it was a question of how can he put the weight on? He dominated last 7-on-7 circuit against national competition. And 7-on-7, I know people put different grades in it.
Yeah.
You're going up against the best of the best nationally. He's going up against the top 5, the 5-star receivers you saw sign today. You saw them all on the 7 at OT7.
That's crazy.
Playing up on the same 7-on-7 team as Trey Taylor.
Wow.
His 27 quarterback.
That's crazy.
And Larry Miles, who also signed with Nebraska today.
Yep.
And then Danny, as a senior, at First Academy's trying to be like IMG a little bit. They played a national schedule. They played teams all over the country. They played, some elite teams. He had 5 interceptions. He was locked down in coverage. 6'2", 180 pounds, plus wingspan, and that's the other part. The question was,
I told you 6'2", you can play defense.
Question was the size. He's up to 180 now. And he's carrying it well, and he's going to be able to get up to 190, and he can hit. He's willing to hit. He's got really good ball skills. He's really sticky in coverage. He's a guy that you watch him, and it's like, oh man, the play speed, the game speed, the elite top end speed might not be there, but he's always on the hip. Like he's always in phase. You know what I mean? And so he's a guy that I think he's coming here in the spring, and he's taking job. Like I looked across that DB these last 2 weeks.
It's open.
And I said, hey, Danny Odom's coming for that guy's job. Danny Odom's going to be pushing that guy for a job. And there's going to be others from the portal potentially too. Obviously, they would have liked to land Devin Jackson, who ended up going to Oregon, number 5 safety. That's another guy that felt could do similar things. I think another guy you're looking at in this class that's not, Claude Puma's obviously fun, just a big framed offensive tackle that they don't have guys that look like that besides Elijah Pritchett. I'm a big fan of Luke Sorensen. The tight end out of Servite.
Yep.
Played up in the Trinity League, the toughest competition you'll find in this country. He's got a versatile background. Played some soccer, some baseball. Did judo, mixed martial arts. So he's like really flexible in his lower body. Has a lot of that stuff, and he's strong. 6'4", 245. There's a clip on his senior tape of him blocking Marcus Fakatu. 6'7", 295, 5-star defensive lineman in the 27 cycle. Fakatu has 50 pounds on him, and he is out of the way. So he packs a punch. He's a good blocker, but he had close to 400 yards receiving this fall. Apologies for that, but had over close to 400 yards receiving this fall. So he's productive. He's a guy that I think is going to come in again and. Immediately you can plug him in 13 personnel, 12 personnel as that second or third tight end, and a guy that this staff really sees as an offensive weapon. I thought Nebraska got this done by Dana Holgorsen pitching him on, hey, the tight end position is going to be featured here, and we want you to be a weapon. We want you to be a weapon. And I will keep in mind, again, look, this is a 3-star. Back when this guy blew up in January, Penn State was pitching him on being the next Tyler Warren.
Wow.
They were pitching him on playing the Tyler Warren. We have Luke Reynolds in this now. When you come in, you're going to do this day one. and Nebraska beat them out head-to-head to the point that Penn State had to move on to their backup option. Obviously, that guy followed James Franklin to Virginia Tech. But this was the guy that Penn State wanted to be the next. So, good player relative to the ranking. The production may not is up and down just because of quarterback and all this stuff, but I'm a huge fan of that kid. Really high, coming in with a really high floor and a pretty high ceiling too.
I like Jamal Rhule. I think that they've had certain looks at running back. They've all been kind of similar for the most part.
This is a different one.
It's a completely different look. And if it doesn't work out, I could almost see him maybe having a slide over to play wide receiver. If he wasn't, I think he can do that. But as a running back coming in, he'll give you a different look.
Yeah, almost felt like what they wanted Ives to almost.
What they want him to be, yeah. And I mean, Ives almost got a little too big at one point. You know, when you saw him, especially when he didn't have his pads on when he was injured, like he got a little too thick. You know, I think you got to be a little more. You got to look more like Alvin Kamara.
Right.
You know, and I think that's when I look at Rhule. I know Kamara's not that tall, but watching Rhule and watching Kamara, I see kind of a similarity between them. So
and that's a guy that's going to put on weight pretty quick.
Yeah, he is. Yeah. Especially, most of those guys, once they get to college, they eat right for the most part. Last one, Creighton Verghese is the first guy to say that he's going in the portal from Nebraska. Were you surprised by that? He actually did get some time playing in special teams.
Yeah, I was pretty surprised just to see him go. Curious the timing. Just, John Butler's having conversations with the whole roster today or the whole defense today. The staff is, or not John Butler, but Phil Snow.
Phil Snow,
And you had this decision come out, but man, I really like Hayden Miller North. One of the better athletes.
Good athlete,
really good athlete. Somewhat limited just in terms of frame and size and some of that stuff. And kind of wonder a little bit if it was a bit of a writing on the wall in terms of what this defense can be and will be in the future. There's in the Big Ten, there's only room for so many limited size players on the field. You got to have length. You got to be able to cover. You got to be athletic, and if you're missing one of those things, it's tough to see the field. So also a guy that I think is going to bounce back, find a role for himself, and play at a high level just fine. It is a tough loss for Nebraska, solely in my opinion, for the foreseeable future on the special team side of things. So he had an opportunity to be a really, really good special teams player for this program.
I'm sure we'll see more that'll come out, and some will be surprised, and some won't.
Certainly.
So,
your perspective, we appreciate it.
And of course, we'll find out about Dylan Raiola too, and see what ends up happening with him.
Now, if he doesn't leave, it's not like I'm fine with being wrong.
You're not trying to push him out the door.
No, I'm not.
Okay,
there you go.
That. Yeah, I think most people think that there's a good chance that he might. I think that he definitely wants to stay, but it's going to be about options too, right?
Right.
Who's offering you? Where can you go? What can you do? How much money can you make?
Yep, it's a conversation going around all over the country.
Yeah. I'm sure Nico, when he left, thought he would make the same amount, and apparently, he didn't at UCLA. So.
Right.
Tim, we appreciate it, man. Thanks for taking the time.
Of course, appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me.
All right, that was good stuff with Tim.
Yeah.
We went over a lot.
He be locked in. He knows his stuff.
He does. He definitely knows his stuff. He's very popular among the folks who follow recruiting because they like his evaluation. He's serious about it, too. The kid watches a lot of tape.
He give you eyes I know. I watch.
He watches a lot of tape. He gets involved with it. He gets deep into it. So we appreciate him taking the time coming in. Luckily, he lives right downtown.
Right.
Which worked out perfectly. It's funny because we brought John Walker in here to talk Creighton. He doesn't live very far from here either.
Hey.
All those guys used to live in Lincoln.
They should get up sometime.
Just come on over here. Come on over here sometime. So special thanks to Tim. Of course, no game this week. Next week we'll find out who Nebraska's playing in the bowl game. Listen, they're probably going to Las Vegas. They're probably playing Utah.
Oh, man.
They play Utah is 10-2. It's a really good team.
Yeah.
They got a heck of a run game. They got a really athletic quarterback.
It's a hard game to win, bro.
Here's the thing we don't know, though. We don't know who is going to play in those bowl games.
Oh, that's facts.
Because, we wouldn't be surprised if Emmett Johnson decides not to play in the bowl game.
Right.
Wouldn't be surprised if the two tackles that are at Utah, who are both considered to be maybe first-rounders, don't play in the game. So we don't know. All we know is that Nebraska's most likely to be playing in Vegas and most likely playing against Utah. And then that'll be New Year's Eve.
And I don't want to turn the TV off. So ball out, do your thing.
Yeah, last game of the year, man.
It don't matter what happened.
Yeah. Go ball out in the bowl game. Go ball out. Yeah. So we appreciate Tim Verghese for coming on with us and chatting. Also, executive producer Mike Allen, technical director Caleb, raising his hand over there. Video team of Stable Gray, we appreciated them as well. And always, our presenting sponsor, Bud Light, who makes it
easy
to drink, easy to enjoy, no matter what sport you're watching, no matter where you are. But hopefully, you're here at the Let It Fly Sports Bar, either in the Capital District, La Vista, or out west.
Any of those three are good places to be. Again, remember to like and subscribe. If you're following us on YouTube, check us out there. Like and subscribe. If you're on Spotify or if you're on Apple, wherever you are, please like and subscribe to the podcast. It, of course, helps us out. Josh, take us.
Hey, Josh Jones here with Michael Severe. You know how we do it. It's a Let It Fly show.